Elon Local News starts right now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you're watching Elon Local News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Maeve Ashbrook.
And I'm Brian Ray. Tonight we begin with women's soccer making Elon history. The Elon women's soccer team is heading to the NCAA tournament for the first time in program history. This afternoon they found out who they will first play. Our sports director Annemarie Bonner is live in the studio with the latest. Annemarie, good evening.
Thanks, Brian and Maeve. Elon women's soccer found out this afternoon that they are set to face off against University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee next Wednesday in Cary, North Carolina. Here's the team reacting to the news.
Florida State will play the winner of the first round match between Elon and Milwaukee. Both teams are automatic qualifiers from the Colonial Athletic Association.
They made the NCAA tournament after beating UNC Wilmington in the CAA championship Saturday. Sophomore Clare scored the game-winning goal that led them to the matchup. She says this is an opportunity of a lifetime.
I'm looking forward to just the team. We've worked so hard for this, and just the experience of being able to be in the NCAA tournament together is just like crazy. I'm very excited for that.
Abby Fusca was selected to the CAA tournament's all-tournament team after the game on Saturday. She says it is a benefit to play so close to Elon.
We've shown that we can obviously go away and be the away team and win in all these games, but it's obviously huge, especially with COVID, being able to travel so close to home.
The team will play at 3 p.m. at Wake Med Soccer Park on Wednesday, April 28th. Milwaukee appeared in the tournament most recently in 2019, where they lost in the first round to Wisconsin. All tournament locations this year are in North Carolina. We'll keep you updated on ElonNewsNetwork.com about women's soccer in the NCAA tournament. Back to you, Brian and Maeve.
Annemarie Bonner for us tonight. Annemarie, thank you.
Vice President Kamala Harris was in North Carolina today for the first time since taking office. Our Ellis Chandler is here live in studio to talk about Harris's visit today. Ellis?
Brian and Maeve, good evening. Today I went to Jamestown, North Carolina, where Vice President Kamala Harris spoke at Guilford Technical Community College. She came to talk about the American Jobs Plan, which calls for support for community college partnerships. She also talked about broadband internet accessibility for elderly Americans and students. Take a look.
We can't just talk about higher education without thinking about what kind of training Americans need to get hired. Instead of simply framing it as higher education, let's create a variety of opportunities for education after high school.
Greensboro residents gathered outside the venue where Harris spoke today, hoping to see the vice president.
It definitely makes me feel special because, you know, going to GTCC, just a community college that, I mean, not a lot of people out of North Carolina know about, but to think that she chose my community college is something that's special to me.
The world runs online, and yet millions of Americans, many of whom live in rural America, do not have access to broadband, and if they do, it is not affordable.
Second grade teacher Corey Forte says she feels inspired about the possible expansion of broadband internet and the community college partnerships.
Finding out what she's here for really made me just put everything aside today and stand for it. It's been an ongoing issue going on here, and having our vice president to come to a small city as Greensboro is very inspiring.
Forte says she's hopeful the administration will have the change they speak of.
I'm inspired by her. I want my son to be a part of history. I want him to know that the sky is the limit.
Ellis Chandler, Elon Local News. In addition to stopping in Jamestown, Harris also visited Thomas Built buses in High Point. Maeve and Brian?
Ellis Chandler filing that report for us today. Thank you.
Elon seniors are now in the final stretch with commencement just over a month away. But instead of packing graduates, family members, and friends into a ceremony like this one, there will be 3 separate ceremonies with each graduate receiving 2 tickets due to coronavirus restrictions. The limited number of tickets is forcing some to make sacrifices on who can attend. Elon senior Catherine Axnes says if she is not able to get a ticket for her sister, she won't even travel to campus.
She just isn't able to pursue a college degree. And I don't know, maybe like attending this ceremony would make her see that there are other things that you get out of college other than just a degree. It would have meant the world to me for her just to see my home and to meet my friends.
Axnes and Elon senior Katie Zink say they are even willing to pay someone for an extra ticket so at least their immediate family can attend.
Nothing crazy, no kidneys or livers, but definitely some money. I'm expecting to pay some money. I've talked to my parents about it, and they're fine purchasing another ticket from somebody else.
The university is setting up satellite viewing options for commencement at the Great Hall in the Global Neighborhood and at Alumni Gym. The Office of Cultural Events tells Elon News Network any possibility of extra tickets will be finalized this week.
The Elon University Police Department is reporting not only an increase in parking tickets, but also students appealing those tickets. University Police Officer Scott Jean told Elon News Network in a phone interview that a possible factor contributing to the rise was the closing of the McMichael parking lot. Right now, that parking lot is closed because of construction on the new Innovation Quad. Although students weren't ever able to park there, those 175 spots dedicated to faculty and staff aren't available anymore. Students have become upset with the number of spaces left available.
It's very frustrating, especially considering I am a biochem major and I have class there about almost every single day. I have class there.
Especially with the McMichael parking lot closed, because it's an additional like 10-minute walk if you're trying to go to the business school or Sankey.
Jean also told ENN that the department plans to readdress the parking situation around campus at the end of the year.
The town of Elon Police Department is urging people to be cautious following a number of car break-ins at the end of last week. Today I spoke to one of the people affected. According to the Elon Police Department, there are 25 reports of vehicles broken into the night of Thursday, April 15th and into Friday, April 16th, including 2 stolen vehicles. Jenna Janso woke up on Friday morning to find her car in West End Apartments was broken into.
One door was open and the glove compartment was open and like the middle dashboard was open and everything was out in the car.
Janso says $20 and a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses were taken from her car. Police say the suspects were targeting unlocked vehicles.
I had unlocked mine before I went to bed to grab a mask for the morning, and I didn't think to relock it, which I always do. So the one night I didn't lock it.
Elon Police says when you're getting out of your car, hide or take your belongings, lock your car, and take your keys with you to prevent theft. Janso says she's now taking extra precautions.
I've obviously been very vigilant about locking my doors now. But it's kind of like weird to wake up in the morning and go to my car because I'm like, oh, what surprise is going to be waiting there now, so.
Earlier today, the Elon Police Department said there is no additional information to release because the reports are not approved yet. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Elon Police Department at 336-584-1301.
Tonight, the closing arguments are finished and jury deliberations are beginning in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who was accused of killing George Floyd. Chauvin faces 3 charges, including murder and manslaughter. Professor at Elon Law Steve Friedland says for a jury to deliver a guilty verdict, they must believe that the prosecution has proven its arguments beyond a reasonable doubt. He says it's hard to know how long deliberations will take.
There could be convincing of each other and reviewing evidence and going over it with each other. It seems there are a couple of major issues, including cause of death, including reasonable necessity for this action.
Earlier today, the prosecution and defense presented their closing arguments. These are meant to convince the jury why they should believe each side's version of the facts. A Walmart, a school, a FedEx warehouse. These are just a few of the places where mass shootings have happened in 2021.
According to Gun Violence Archive, there have been 147 mass shootings in the U.S. so far this year. They define a mass shooting as 4 or more people shot, wounded, or killed, excluding the shooter.
You're looking at police video from the shootings. In Wisconsin, we do not have that video. President Joe Biden's administration announced multiple actions in hopes of battling gun violence. The administration wants to stop the proliferation of ghost guns. Ghost guns are components of guns sold within criminals that can be assembled within 30 minutes. These cannot be tracked due to not having a serial number. Red flag legislation was proposed to states allowing family members and law enforcement to petition a court order temporarily barring people in crisis from accessing firearms.
There will also be an annual report on the trafficking of firearms. The last mass shooting in North Carolina was April 3rd in Wilmington at a house party that killed 3 people and injured 4. In North Carolina, only residents are allowed to purchase handguns. Open carry without a permit is legal. However, counties could regulate display of firearms in places like public roads and sidewalks. Here at Elon University, the number of active coronavirus cases continue to fall. The university is reporting no new cases today. There are now 10 active cases on campus and 43 students in quarantine. The number of cases in Alamance County have risen by a handful, with 40 cases reported yesterday in the county. Cases are trending slightly higher across North Carolina as well. In terms of vaccinations around the state, almost half of adults have received at least 1 dose. That's according to the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Starting today, every adult in the United States is eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is reporting today that over half of American adults have received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. That's close to 130 million people. This is just under 2 weeks earlier than the Biden administration had originally planned for.
And if you have not received any dose of the vaccine yet, there's a few places in the Piedmont Triad administering vaccines. There's one walk-in site available behind the JR Cigar Outlet. That's 2401 Eric Lane, and it starts on Thursday. If those morning times don't work for you, you can go to the Greensboro Coliseum Thursday through Saturday. That's running 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. North Carolina A&T is also giving out the Moderna shot for all adults. That's also from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Finally, if any of these don't work, you can go to Rockingham Community College. They're administering the Moderna vaccine at the end of the week for all adults. All of these sites are walk-up vaccination sites.
This week, every student is now required to have multi-factor authentication. This means students must identify themselves before logging on with your university username and password. A push alert is sent to check in on your mobile device to confirm it's you every time that you log in. Today, students are talking about what it was like to enroll for it.
It's like, oh, now you have to do a push. It's like, okay, let's add another minute or 2.
I feel like it should be more optional. Like, if you want it, then you can use it, but it's kind of like annoying now. Every time I try to log on to Moodle, I have to go through my phone.
The process was not confusing. They had steps laid out, and as long as that you can follow some simple instructions, I think you got it. It doesn't really take that long, but like I could see where it could get a little bit annoying and like be too much.
In the long run, it might be more protective of us, which is nice, but you know, after the initial sign up, it was fairly easy to get a handle on.
More coverage of multi-factor authentication and how to enroll, go to elonnewsnetwork.com.
Sophomore housing selection begins tomorrow, and the process has not changed in light of COVID-19. The process remains online and is completed through self-service, which you can access through OnTrack. Residence Life employee Anisha Geralds wrote in an email that the university has not seen an increase in students wanting to live off campus because of the pandemic.
The class of 2025 is discussing their thoughts on Elon University. This was the first year Elon made SAT and ACT scores optional, which may have contributed to the high application and acceptance rate. Also, the university received more early action applications this year than recent years. This comes after the announcement and an earlier report that Elon University's admissions rate would increase for the incoming class.
Yeah, it doesn't really change my perspective. I think they have a lot to offer with the clubs and the study abroad, and I liked how whoever I talked to at Elon was so nice, and they really raved about how close they were with their professors, and I liked that aspect.
Elon admissions staff were not immediately available for comment.
And you might not want to plan on sleeping in tomorrow past 10 a.m. There will be a loud outdoor siren that you'll hear around the town of Elon. According to an Office of Student Life email, this is part of an emergency alert systems test. The university recommends the Elon community to re-enroll with eAlert every 2 years.
A retired Burlington police officer will soon lead the department as its interim chief. Eric Kearns will take over for Chief Jeff Smoot, who is retiring at the end of May. Kearns, a lifelong resident of Burlington, retired from the police force in 2018, but has since served with the department in a part-time role, assisting with accreditation. Kearns begins his new role on May 27th.
Months of preparation for the new African American Cultural Center are now over. There's a new home for the center in Burlington. What you're seeing is ENN photographer Abby Gibbs's pictures from the ribbon-cutting event. The space inside is like a museum, which depicts various aspects of local African American history. The site is on Corporation Parkway in Burlington. The center is best known for compiling and promoting history, particularly African American history, in the community. Maeve, it's gotten a little chillier these past couple days.
I was going to say this morning, I was really ill prepared. I guess I wore a sweatshirt to class, but I expected it to warm up. But it does look like outside right behind me. It looks a little more sunny, I guess.
A break from the rain from earlier. Well, every week on Elon Local News, we have someone new for weather. It's to help sharpen their live broadcast skills to get them comfortable with being on air. But this week, we have a very special guest from Elon University joining us. Vice President for Strategic Initiatives, Jeff Stein, is on Citron Plaza this evening with us. Dr. Stein, how does the weather look?
Good evening, Brian and Maeve. The weather is beautiful out here on Citron Plaza. The storms cleared up after this morning. Now it's 70 degrees and sunny, and we got a great week ahead. Tomorrow, high of 75, partly cloudy. Wednesday, high of 72, a little bit of clouds. Be careful Thursday and Friday. Lows of 36, actually Wednesday and Thursday. Sorry about that. So it'll be cool in the mornings, but Thursday and Friday, good days to invite John Dooley out for a game of golf or take Bo Oakley for a walk. High of 61 and 68. Saturday, a little bit of rain, but still high of 64. So get out from behind that Zoom and enjoy the beautiful weather this week.
Thank you, Dr. Stein. And you can watch the Ready and Resilient Shares full weathercast on our YouTube. You can search Elon News Network on YouTube.
21 faculty members are now permanent Elon employees. This year's hiring process for professor tenure is over. If you're granted tenure, that means you're a part of Elon's teaching faculty for as long as you want. The Board of Trustees granted tenure to 21 faculty members, 2 more than last year. One is Assistant Professor of Physical Therapy, Beth Evans. She says it was rewarding to celebrate with her friends who were also granted tenure after going through the process together.
You work really hard and you do the things all throughout, the past 5 or 6 years to set yourself up really well for success, but you still need to have a healthy respect for the process. And it's not final until you get the phone call and the letter. So I was really happy.
Tenure track faculty that are not granted tenure have to leave the university once their contract is up.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Ahead of Earth Day on Thursday, Elon University is celebrating Earth Week, where students, faculty, and staff can reflect on their own sustainability habits. Tonight, our Margaret Faust ventured into a blue sea, not of water, but of solar panels.
Faint and constant buzzing. That's the sound of light energy converting into electricity next to Loy Farms on South Campus. These solar panels are good for the environment because they use sunlight instead of fossil fuels to create electricity. But according to the Solar Energy Industries Association, only 6% of North Carolina's energy is solar powered. Assistant Director of Sustainability Kelly Hare hopes the number increases as the world faces rising global temperatures.
These impacts now, they're here. It's not something I think oftentimes people think about future generations, but we are living in a climate crisis.
These solar panels are owned and operated by a third party, producing enough energy to power more than 400 U.S. homes for a year, or 10% of energy consumed at Elon. Elon sophomore Mallory Poff is conducting research on how to make solar panels as effective as possible. As a Florida native, she is eager to use sunlight to its brightest potential.
Growing up where it was always hot and sunny, it's something that I feel like will exist until humans' end of time as we know it. So why not use it?
State laws in the farm's distance from main campus require the energy produced at the solar farm to go directly into the general power grid. But by providing the land for the solar panels, Hare says Elon is helping solve the climate crisis.
We know there's a climate crisis. It's happening now, and we want to be part of the solution, even if we can't claim credit for it.
Harris says she hopes state laws will change, encouraging the university to purchase these solar panels when the lease is up in 20 years. Margaret Faust, Elon Local News.
It was announced today that POF has received a Lumen scholarship to continue her research in clean energy.
Very interesting stuff, Maeve.
Well, I really don't know too much about solar panels, so I'm glad to have seen and listened to Margaret's reporting there, especially on this Earth Week.
I know, very true. I've been over there for class before, so it's very, very interesting to see, happen in action.
I've driven by it once or twice.
Hard to miss.
Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe I need to go to some of the Earth Week events.
Yeah, maybe you should.
A little bit more. And that's all the news we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Stay updated when we're not on the air on our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
And don't forget to follow us on social media at Elon News Network.
Have a great day, Elon.